had this recollection of Ben Askren being a somewhat boring, if really good fighter to watch from his Bellator days, who kind of grinded his opponents out on the ground. Thus, I was surprised to be reminded that since going to ONE FC, in his 7 of 5 fights have been finishes, 1 decision, and 1 was a no contest due to an eye poke. So based on this, I'm kind of curious, what kind of fight do you expect from Askren this weekend, especially against someone like Robbie Lawler? And do you think my memories of him being boring to watch at Bellator were unfair towards him?
Okay. See, that's a good question. I don't know what to say about that because I haven't seen anything about Ben Askren. The only thing I've seen has been the very small clips on the build-up to his fight. And I don't know anything about the guy. So I hear he's a boring fighter. I hope it turns out to be a boring fight. I hope so, because it would just prove that Kamaru Usman is right. Wait, not yeah. And yeah, because Robbie didn't say that. Kamaru said that.
Second part of that question is interesting because he was a very grinder heavy style at Bellator.
And then yeah, that's what I recently told to my wife. I was like, you know what? I don't give a damn about Ben Askren because from what I hear, he's just like GSP and he's just gonna lay on you, and I don't give a damn. I don't want to watch that. Sounds
more so than he is now. I mean, he's still the ultimate grinder, but he wasn't as well-rounded in his game, and he was still trying to figure out this whole MMA thing when he was in Bellator. That says something because he was even dominating guys like Douglas Lima and Andrei Koreshkov back then. But I always even found him entertaining back then because
I agree.
You remember him fighting against Andrei Koreshkov. He was riding him like a pony, doing a cowboy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I always have just found him entertaining, and I think he sort of figured himself out while in one championship. Obviously, the level of competition was a little bit lower. But by that point, he had been a mixed martial artist for a while. So I would never. I don't believe he's a boring fighter. I like his style of fighting. I think it's very Khabib-esque, and just the way that the pressure is just so smothering.
He said Khabib-esque. It's very Khabib-like. Okay, so if we're all fans of Khabib and the way he fights, then we should all be excited to see Ben Askren. And that's what SHAUN ASHATTI just said. That's what he just said. He said it's very Khabib-esque. Khabib-esque. Khabib-like. That's what he said. Did you guys hear him?
To me. But what was the first part of the question? Oh, what should we expect from this Robbie Lawler fight? I don't know. Let's be honest.
You know what I expect? I expect it to be fucking. I expect it to suck, because if that's what Ben just said that. He just said that in the post-fight interview that these guys got MMA fighting. They got pre-fight interview with him at the open media right now from like fucking a few hours ago, and he just said that he's gonna wrestle him. So I don't know. Are we gonna get to see Robbie Lawler throw some hands? Probably not.
To be honest, I really don't know. This is, again, I hate to reference what I just said, but it's the same thing with the Michael Page, where we just don't know what this guy looks like against some of the best in the world, and that is the most exciting part to me.
I think Sean, if Ben Askren is able to take Robbie Lawler down and just land him for 15 minutes, I think he'll absolutely do that. I think it could be a boring fight if Lawler lets it get to that point. It's really up to Lawler.
Lawler has incredible defense.
He does. Absolutely does. 100%. And then he's been working with Logan Storley down in Florida, working with Kamaru Usman, of course, who's on this card. I think though, Askren is a different level of wrestler than a lot of these guys, although Logan Storley is really, really, really high level. Again, if Askren can take Lawler down and lay on him, he will do so. He's not afraid to be quote-unquote boring, but I don't actually find that boring, because I think if you're able to impose your will on an opponent of the caliber of a Robbie Lawler or of the caliber of a Douglas Lima like he had in the past, I don't find that boring. I actually find that very compelling, because this is still a sport at the end of the day. And to see that kind of dominance, everyone knows what Ben Askren is going to do. Everyone knows. It's not.
But see, it's not a sport. It's a goddamn fight. You know what I mean? It's a goddamn fight. It's not a sport. So, to me, if Ben Askren can fucking take him down and lay on him for 15 minutes and be quote-unquote a boring fighter, like he just said, he's not scared to do that. He'll gladly do that. He don't give a fuck. Well, I care as a fan of this. I was going to say as a fan of the sport. I just said it wasn't a sport because, okay, it's a very thin line between sport and like it's a blood sport. You know what I mean? Like, it's more than just a combat. It's not a sport. Like it is. It's like, did you guys see that fucking Fighting in the Age of Loneliness? that these SB Nation put out, which is the parent company to MMA Fighting, they put out a video, a series called Age of Loneliness, and it's fucking awesome. And they mention how it's basically just exploitation of people, how we have them fight for us for entertainment, and it is. So for him to say it's still a sport and it's still compelling, he says it's compelling to him, it's not boring to him to watch another fighter lay on top of one and dominate and out wrestle him and impose his will, as he said. He says it's not boring. Bro, what are you talking about? No one wanted to fucking see GSP lay on Nick Diaz. Were y'all happy with that? Were y'all happy with that? Because did we not all expect that? That's what he just said. We expect Ben Askren to take him down, lay on him, and beat him up. And that's exactly what we expect the GSP to do. That's what we expect Khabib to do. That's what we expect these heavy wrestling fighters to do. The only reason that Khabib was so goddamn compelling is because, yeah, he fucking smashes you on the floor. He fucking hits you a lot more than other fighters like GSP or Ben Askren, if we're comparing the three as far as the wrestling and the punching and the, you know, what I'm saying, it's not fun to watch a dude fucking pepper this dude on top for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. It's so what do I expect? I expect Robbie Lawler to go out there, defend some fucking takedowns, and try to kick his ass. But I also expect Ben Askren to try to take him down and try to fucking wrestle him, and that's not fun. So as a viewer, I don't want to see that. As a person, it's just like, whatever, bro. If you can beat him in wrestling and you got him beat, then fucking, I don't know, submit his ass, make him tap out. But it's not. At one point, it's just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? If you're just gonna be like fucking playing with your food, you've beat the man. The man's been beaten. I don't need to see him be dominated for an extended period of time for no reason. That's just dumb. That's not entertaining.
Surprise.
He's not gonna wing and hooks.
He's not gonna be throwing spinning back kicks. He's gonna try to take him down from the jump. And if he's able to execute that, that's
who? Ben Askren isn't gonna be throwing spinning back kicks? Well, it'd be cool if he did. It'd be dope if he did. It'd be cool if he threw a spinning back heel hook. What? Come on. I'm just saying. I think there is this big hype train behind the fucking wrestling that he's doing, and his level of wrestling. And the hype train, whether or not it's real, it still goes back down to an extremely wrestle heavy fighter who is known to take you down and wear you out and wrestle you, and people mostly seem to not like that in the MMA community. Us as viewers don't seem to like that. So if we all agree on that, then can we get off fucking funky dick over here? Can we get off of Ben Askren's dick and just fucking move on?
Actually, I find that extremely interesting and compelling.
Because if you look back on it, nobody's really done that to Robbie Lawler.
No.
His defensive wrestling is so underrated. People can get him down, but nobody can really hold him. You even go back to the Johnny Hendricks fight.
Okay, that's cool.
Johnny Hendricks was able to get
Tell me,
Robbie Lawler
Sean.
down. But until the very end,
A shot?
few of those
Sorry.
fights, when Robbie Lawler was a little tired, he was not able to hold Robbie down for any more than 60 seconds. This is just a man who gets up. He's a powerful man at welterweight.
And also with Hendricks keeps you honest with that huge left hand and the striking, whereas we haven't really seen that kind of game from Askren. Askren is just a ridiculously good wrestler.
Yeah.
I was talking to Tyron Woodley about this a few weeks ago at that aforementioned press conference, and he said that he has never felt the kind of squeeze that Ben Askren has. Like when Ben Askren gets a body lock on you, it's pretty much a wrap. And he doesn't think there's any contest between him and Lawler. He thinks that it's going to be a fairly easy night for Askren.
It really is a tough style match.
Well, and one could argue, yeah, because Tyron Woodley's fought Robbie Lawler before. And hey, that's a great point. But let's not forget, because I know a little bit of my MMA history now, let's not forget the UFC history. Let's not forget that Robbie Lawler, unfortunately, got knocked the fuck out really quick by Tyron Woodley. So, you know, him being like, oh, I don't think Robbie Lawler is going to be able to defend Ben Askren's takedowns. It's like, buddy, I mean, you can't use your own personal knowledge and try to say, oh, I have experience in that, because, I mean, you went out there and knocked that man out in a couple seconds. Like, he went out there, threw a big right, and knocked him out. I'm saying he didn't try to take him down, so that personal experience as far as that, like, I got in the ring and I tried to take him down, and he was hard to take down or wasn't, you know, that's not what happened. You know, Tyron Woodley fucking knocked him out. I'm saying it was cool. I'm just saying, I'll just point something out because I know something and I felt cool and I want to tell you guys about it.
for Ben Askren.
Can't
His
wait for this
UFC
fight.
debut.
I'm getting really excited about this fight.
It feels like they did this on purpose, just to be like, oh, you want to be in the deep end? Here's Robbie Lawler.
That's what Askren thinks. He thinks that Dana White is trying to get him beat right off the bat.
Also, I will say before we move on, one hilarious point to me is you even mentioned it. Robbie Lawler is training with Kamaru Usman.
That's right.
So in a way, this is like a tag team match
I love
between
it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Woodley
cool.
and Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler and Kamaru Usman. I don't know. It's interesting dynamic.
It's like a wrestling meet.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. The next question is from BCG347, who would like to know, do you guys think GSP ruined any chance of Woodley surpassing GSP as the greatest welterweight of all time by not fighting him before retiring?
That is an interesting way to look at it. And that's actually something I'm interested to ask Tyron this week, actually today, at Media Day. Because for a long time now, Tyron has spoken openly about wanting to be the greatest welterweight of all time. And
Wait, what was the question?
Tyron.
Of Woodley surpassing GSP. All right. The next question is from BCG347, who would like to know, do you guys think GSP ruined any chance of Woodley surpassing GSP as the greatest welterweight of all time by not fighting him before retiring?
That is an interesting way to look at it. And that's actually
GSP ruined any chance of Tyron Woodley surpassing him because he didn't fight him? No, because you won't have because. See, okay, here's the thing, buddy. I don't give a fuck if GSP never fights again. I just said that. I don't give a fuck. I don't like to see his fights. It's not that fun for me. So I don't care, personally, if GSP never fought Tyron Woodley. I'm mad because Tyron Woodley asked for that fucking fight and called it out, and GSP had agreed, and they should have fought back in the fucking day, but instead they took that title shot away, that opportunity, that big money fight. And it wasn't just a big money fight, it was a big historical fight, okay? Because let's not forget that at welterweight, no one had been as dominant as GSP and Tyron Woodley until Tyron Woodley called out GSP. Like, after GSP he retired, and then there was a fight for the belt and some shit with Hendricks, remember? Because Hendricks fucking beat the shit out of GSP, and then they still let GSP win, even though he obviously fucking lost that fight. That fight was bullshit. He obviously lost that fight. GSP's last fight before he retired, he lost to Johnny Hendricks, but they still gave him the decision win. And then, after he fucking ran away, the belt was up for grabs. Someone else fought for it, and then it ended up in the hands of Tyron Woodley after he beat Robbie Lawler. I think it was Robbie beat Hendricks, maybe? Is that what happened? It was like if that's what happened, then holy shit, I know my timeline's pretty good, right? Pretty good. If not, I think I'm like one or two removed away. But it sounds like that's how the welterweight title got to where it's at. Anyway, the point is, if Tyron Woodley doesn't fight GSP, good. Who the fuck cares? Let it be known, and it will be known in the history books, that he asked for the fight repeatedly, year after year after year. When they asked him, do you still want the fight? He said, yeah, but he don't want that fight. He's been saying that. So Tyron Woodley has never, ever turned down or been scared or denied that he wants to fight with GSP. GSP is going to go down in the books as the one that chose to not fight Tyron Woodley. So with GSP supposedly retiring, which it's very possible he'll come back, with him supposedly retiring, does that make it impossible now for Tyron Woodley to be considered the greatest of all time because he didn't beat the greatest of all time in the same weight division when he was still around? No, because he been fucking retired. He don't want to fucking fight. And he literally said that he didn't want to fight Tyron Woodley because he fucking punches hard. So, the man don't want to fight Tyron Woodley. So, all the Tyron Woodley needs to do to be the greatest welterweight of all time, which right now, unfortunately, he isn't, just based on title defenses, because let's be honest, that's how this all works. It all comes down to who has the most title defenses, who won the belt, and then was able to keep the belt the longest. And right now, at welterweight, it's GSP. If I'm not mistaken, it was like, 10 times he defended the belt, 9 times? So, after that, Tyron Woodley now has been the most dominant welterweight since, and he's been holding the belt. And if he continues to hold the belt and if he surpasses 9 title defenses, then hey, now he's the greatest welterweight of all time. Guys, it's simple fucking math. He doesn't need to beat GSP because GSP didn't want to fight him. GSP can keep fighting other people. He can keep fighting for money fights. He can do the Conor, do the Ben, he can fight Michael Bisping again. They can both come back out of retirement. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. Fuck GSP. I don't care about him. You don't need him. Tyron Woodley will be the greatest of all time if he continues to defend the belt. If not, then unfortunately, it'll still go back the title of best of all time in the division will always go to the person who has the most wins, defenses. Just like Amanda Nunes is not the best fighter of all time yet, until she's defended her belt longer or for more times than Ronda did, which was 6 times, which Joanna Jędrzejczyk was tied to at the 115 division as a strawweight. She was tied to defend it 6 times, but she only defended it 5 times, because the 6th time she wanted to defend it was when she got fucking beat and the belt was taken from her by Rose Namajunas. Anyway, that's why she's not the greatest women fighter of all time. Well, but that's not what we're talking about, because those are different weight divisions, so I guess that's not applicable. But what is applicable is what I'm saying about Amanda Nunes and about her. You know, and no, it was applicable. It made sense. It was totally applicable. Anyway,
Actually, something
applicable.
I'm interested to ask Tyron this week, actually today, at Media Day, because
Oh, I saw the interview. They asked him like, how do you feel about GSP retiring? And you might never get to fight him, like, basically. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Tyron Woodley's like, I don't give a shit about that fight no more. And I agree. Who the fuck cares? GSP don't want to fight. He didn't want none of the smoke, as they say. So,
because for a long time now, Tyron has spoken openly about wanting to be the greatest welterweight of all time, and it doesn't feel like there was a path there for him while GSP was sort of floating out in the ether. Maybe he's in, maybe he's out, will he, won't he, type of thing. Now that GSP is retired, though, we were talking about it last week, where his legacy is more or less set in stone. He's one of the 2 greatest fighters ever, wherever you want to put that. For Tyron Woodley to be able to surpass that, just not even on a GOAT list, but just on a GOAT welterweight list, it feels as though now he kind of has a little bit of a path, right? Like, if he is able to get, who knows, 3, 4 more title defenses, continue to stay as dominant as he is,
Yeah.
I think that begins to be a very legitimate conversation.
I agree. I would also say that even if George St. Pierre did stay around and he was going to fight Tyron Woodley, I would say that right now in 2019, if Woodley were to beat George St. Pierre, I don't think that necessarily makes Woodley automatically the best welterweight of all time.
No, but it
Talking
greatly
about-
improves his chances.
I agree. It would mean he would have to, like you said, bring together 4 more title defenses. I mean, GSP held the belt for 6 years. That's an incredible amount of time, incredible consistency. And I don't think that just a win over a late 30s George St. Pierre in 2019 would make Woodley automatically the top guy in welterweight history. But I think that he's up there right.
okay, I gotta stop right there, though. You know me, I always got some shit to say. He just said, what did he say? He just said that George St. Pierre was the defending welterweight champion for 6 years, and he's like, that's a big deal. But let's not forget, when the fuck did Tyron Woodley win the belt? When the fuck did Tyron Woodley fight? Tyron Woodley fought. Hey, how ironic is this? Isn't this crazy? I didn't even connect these 2 dots. What the fuck? How did I not notice? Tyron Woodley defeated Robbie Lawler for the welterweight belt, and right now Tyron Woodley is going to defend his welterweight belt against Kamaru Usman. And what's funny, and what's the dots that are connected here is like, holy shit, it's not funny, but it's like, oh damn, Robbie Lawler, who is fighting right before them, is going to be fighting Ben Askren. Ben Askren being a friend of Tyron Woodley, and of course Robbie Lawler being the man that lost the belt to Tyron Woodley. Anyway, let's find out when that happened. Tyron Woodley versus Robbie. Okay, see, now this happened 2016. See, that happened 3 years ago. And we fucking almost halfway to 2019. I'm just saying, this man trying to act like, I mean, it's been 3 years, okay? It's been halfway there. Isn't what did he say? He said GSP was champion for 9 years, and my argument is that Tyron Woodley has been champion for 3 years, okay? Yeah, it's been over 3 years that he's been champion, so he's halfway there, okay? And it's been dominant every time. That's all I'm saying. And I mean, Tyron Woodley's just a more exciting fighter. Well, I mean, I don't know why this argument is still being had. I mean, not that whether or not he's the best welterweight, because I just gave an argument to why he's not the best welterweight, and why I will unfortunately have to admit that, yeah, GSP is the greatest welterweight of all time. But what I'm saying is that Tyron Woodley is a much more exciting welterweight champion and has been since the very beginning. When GSP was on his fucking 4th belt defense, what the fuck was he doing? Not doing cool shit like what Tyron Woodley's doing. That's what I'm saying, man. He's a much more interesting fighter. He like knocks people out. It's much like his highlights are much more his highlights compared to GSP's highlights. I mean, come on. This is Tyron Woodley, dude. Come on. So who do you got? Tyron Woodley or Kamaru? Of course I got Tyron Woodley, dude. Kamaru don't know what hit him. Do you guys see Tyron Woodley's fucking wrestling when he fucking took down what's his fuck? Darren fucking Gorilla Till? Yo, what's up with these dope ass nicknames though, huh? The Chosen One over here, he fought Ruthless and defeated him for the belt. And now the Chosen One is gonna fight the Nigerian Nightmare to defend his belt. And then on the co-main event, we got Ruthless, who lost the belt, like I just said, 3 years ago to the Chosen One. Ruthless is gonna be defending his belt against the new up-and-comer, brand new one of the looking like he's a BFF, best friend forever of Tyron Woodley, the champion, the Chosen One, the brand new guy coming into the UFC debut as a co-main event spot with his buddy, the Chosen One. This man's name is Funky. That's his nickname. So we got Funky versus Ruthless. Who you got? Unfortunately, I think Funky might win, just based on all the hype. I'm just a casual fucking fan. I don't know anything. So if that's what's gonna happen, Funky is gonna wrestle Ruthless to the ground, and Ruthless might not be able to fucking beat him up. But hey, if Ruthless can defend the takedown and beat his ass like Ruthless is known to do, because he's motherfucking ruthless, that's why he's got the nickname Ruthless. Robbie Lawler. Anyway, nicknames are cool in UFC. If you guys aren't fans of UFC, you should be fans of MMA, UFC particularly. Unfortunately, fuck the UFC. The UFC is a fucking monopoly. It's a terrible place to work at. Athletes should be wary of the UFC and its terrible practices and terrible treatment for its fighters / workers. But that's what I watch, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the UFC here on Kain'S Corner. Moving on. Back to the video. Ready?
Right now, and I think he has a chance to do it. It's just a matter of how it plays out, and we're kind of witnessing it. We're right out in front of it with this Usman fight. If he can get by Usman, Colby Covington could be next.
How many title defenses do you think he would need to really put himself in that conversation?
Well, GSP had 9.
That's all he needs, baby. We've been talking about this the whole fucking time. How many title defenses does he need to cement how many title defenses does Tyron Woodley need to cement himself as the greatest welterweight of all time? If he doesn't fight against GSP. Well, as they mentioned, if he were to fight GSP, it would be a situation where everyone would say, oh, well, it was GSP's end of his career, and it doesn't mean that much to his standing as best of all time. Let's wait to see how many title defenses he has. That's what it always comes down to. So they're saying, well, how many title defenses does he need? I mean, baby, if he's got 4, this is his 5th one, right? This is his 5th title defense. He only needs 4 more, baby. He's over halfway there, baby. Oh, but see, you're saying that like you're expecting him to beat the Nigerian Nightmare. Yeah, cause I am, baby. That's the Chosen One. He's got that nickname for a reason, right? Nicknames are dope. Anyway, how many does he need? He just needs to fucking pass 9, dude. If he doesn't fight GSP, good. All he needs is 10. That's all he needs. That's a lot, right? I know, because he's on his 5th. So, halfway there, baby.
True, and it was a different era, though.
Yeah.
I think people were more likely to be that type of champion where they're going to defend their title over and over. Now it seems to be the era of the super fights and trying to find these money fights. But Tyron's slate ahead of him seems pretty set, right? He gets Usman, he gets past him, he gets Covington. If he gets past him, then who knows, really?
Yeah.
Does
the
Usman
vision
and
is
Covington,
good, and someone else could emerge in that time.
Is Usman and Covington enough alone to put him in that conversation where he's now even just beginning to be in the mix?
Is Usman and Covington alone compared to his body of work, compared to GSP's body of work? Motherfucker, do you know who Tyron Woodley defeated to get to where he's at? Let's go look. Let's go look right now. This motherfucker talking about. What are you talking about? Shit? You talking shit? SHAUN and SHATTI? The man talking shit. Let's see the record quick. Come on. Why is it taking 10 years? Okay, so if we go back in his record a little bit, before the Robbie Lawler fight where he won the belt, he had fought Kelvin Gastelum. Let's see, names that stand out to me right away. I've heard of Dong. More importantly, heard of Rob McDonald. See, he lost to Rob McDonald, but that was a fucking bar burner, as they say. That's a really weird expression. I have no idea what it means. But, okay, let's look at his body of work. Josh Koscheck, Carlos Condit, Jake Shields, Nate Marquardt, German, Paul Daly. Nathan, I don't know who any of these guys are. Zach Light. So, okay, so if we look at his body of work compared to how I know the GSP defeated... Dude, I only know like 10 people he's fucking defeated. I don't fucking know who he is, what he's done. Okay, Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Dan Hardy, Thiago Alves, BJ Penn, John Fitch, Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, BJ Penn, Frank, Jason Miller. Okay, I do know a lot more names here. I'm not gonna lie, and then a bunch of other people I don't know. Okay, so I mean. Will it be enough if he beats Kamaru and Covington? No, because it's still not 9 or 10 title defenses, so it still doesn't matter. You still give him space for another 2-3 fights where he could beat someone whose names are more applicable.
Or do you feel like he needs more than that?
I mean, I guess he can be in the conversation, but 9 title defenses from GSP, and I mean, he really just he was either 2-time champion and he spanned, was it 3-time? You can include middleweight, but I'm just talking about welterweight. He spanned different generations. I mean, that's
like 3 different eras. Basically.
6 years is a very long time to hold the title. So I think Woodley's got a lot of work to do, but could he be in the conversation with 2 more wins? Yeah.
Great. So let's continue with UFC 235 related things. Zabit from M. Haydock 06. How highly do you rate Zabit? Is he the top prospect in the UFC at the moment?
Dude, I'm fucking so excited for Zabit. I'm totally on the Zabit hype train. Have you guys seen Zabit? What is his name? Zabit something? Zabit. Do you know who Zabit is? Zabit is this fucking badass Russian. He's friends with Khabib, and it's pretty dope. You guys should check out Zabit's highlight reels. Look, it's really, really cool.
He can challenge for featherweight belts in the next year. And what do you believe are his greatest strengths, and what is the outcome you expect from his fight with Stevens this weekend? Will this be a tough test for Zabit that he will overcome or fail?
Will he overcome this fight with Stephen Thompson? I honestly haven't even thought about it. Will he win? Will he lose? I think he'll win. Of course he'll win, because I'm on the hype train. I'm on board. Zabit is gonna go in there and beat the shit out of Stephen Thompson. It's gonna be beautiful. I can't wait to see it. Do you guys know who Zabit is? Well, okay, you can look at it this way too. And this might not be a fair assessment, and I mentioned this already prior in this video, and I guess now I just thought about it. But like, yeah, you can compare highlight reels, and one highlight reel is gonna be funner to watch than the other. So it makes sense to get on a hype train when it's fucking full blowing. Choo choo, let's go, motherfucker.
Prospect in the UFC at the moment. Let's start with that. That's an interesting conversation.
Oh, is he the biggest the UFC prospect in the moment? That is a question, the biggest question. Because it's like a bigger question. I don't know. I guess it depends on. It depends. I don't know. You have to give me a list of some other prospects. Tell me who else you got. I'll listen. Who else do we have right now? I don't even know.
Up there, right? I mean,
I don't know that I would put him at number 1, but I would definitely put him in the top 5.
I'm a casual.
Also, prospect is a hard word because he's 27 and he has, I think, 17 pro fights. So does he really still have that prospect label?
To me, prospect
yes,
is
of course he does.
Hasn't gotten a chance to prove himself against the contenders of the division.
That's
so
yeah.
I feel like
He's a prospect.
So
of course he is, motherfucker.
Really his coming out party, if he's gonna have one.
Yeah, this is it.
Jeremy Stevens is.
Yeah, because Jeremy Stevens is like the highest ranked he's fought so far.
Yeah,
It's a big deal.
is. And actually, this is one
Of course he's still a prospect. It doesn't matter if it's a 17th pro fight or not. He's still a prospect because like fucking like he just said. What he just said.
interesting threads for this fight week to me is We have a lot of that this week. There are, I think, 3 different matchups that I can just think of off the top of my head where it's these young up-and-comers challenging sort of these people who have been here for a long time. You have the aforementioned Stevens versus Zabit. Also TC Torres.
SHAUN.
And also Mickey Gall versus Diego Sanchez, maybe on a lesser scale, but still.
Oh shit, Diego Sanchez is back. Dude, the Yogi. Call me the Zen. Call me the Nightmare. Call me Diego. Call me the Yogi. Dude, he's found the fucking secret to fucking eternal youth, bro. Do you know who Diego Sanchez is? Fuck, I didn't even know he was even fighting. I had no idea. I was just watching some shit about, oh, that's fun. So the only reason I got there was because of a different MMA on Point video. Shout out to MMA on Point. Keep going.
Versus the new guard type of fights. I love
Diego. Okay, so yeah, this is a big deal. If Diego Sanchez can beat Mickey Gall, it'll cement that Diego Sanchez is still a motherfucker and that he's not joking when he says that he's the Yogi, bro.
Those fights. Those are most interesting tests for me. We had to up and down the slate this week.
Yeah, I mean, we literally just did this with Jose Aldo, with how fucking Jeremy Stevens. That's who he just beat. Let's not forget Jose Aldo's last outing. He went out and defeated Jeremy Stevens, who now is coming back, and we're like, oh, is Jeremy Stevens gonna fucking beat Zabit? I mean, I don't know. But it's kind of ironic to think that it's just the passing of the guard, right? That was Jeremy Stevens was the young guy trying to go in there and beat the veteran that is Jose Aldo, and Jose Aldo was trying to prove that he can't be beat, and that he's not like washed up. He just got beat twice by fucking Max Holloway because Max Holloway is the fucking shit. What's up, Blessed? And Blessed took the belt from Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo doesn't have a nickname. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cruel? And so, Jeremy Stevens over here, what's his name? This is Jeremy Stevens, isn't it? We're talking about fucking Lil Heathen. I forget who we're talking about. He's the one with the Connor with the, who the fuck is that? It's funny because I don't even think of him like that anymore now because I've seen him fucking fight. And I saw him get his ass whooped by Jose Aldo. That shit was crazy. That shit was cool as fuck. Anyway, in that fight, he was the young guy trying to beat the more established fighter, which was Jose Aldo. And now it's the other way around where Jeremy Stevens is the more established fighter and Zabit is coming to kick his ass. So, I don't know. I just hope that we just keep going down this path and the new guys and the guys that deserve the shot get their shot. And, I mean, one could say Jeremy Stevens wasn't a prospect. He had his chance to show himself at the top with the top 5, 10 contenders. He was up there. So, if anything, he wasn't a prospect compared to Zabit, who is a prospect now, just barely breaking into the top echelon, the top tier of fighters in this division.
Because you always want fights that kind of
Anyway, Jeremy Stevens' nickname is Lil Heathen.
tell you something you don't know about the
Hashtag Lil Heathen. That's his rap name, dude. They got they got fucking Lil Pump, Lil Peep, and they got Baby God. We got Lil Baby Heathen. That's what his nickname should be, Baby Heathen. Heathen? Lil Heathen. They call me Heathen. Lil Heathen. Heathen Jr. I got a dad, they call him Heathen Senior.
performers and the competitors. As far as Zabit goes, I would say that his greatest strength is that.
Oh, yeah, and also we're doing that with Diego Sanchez, yeah, because Diego Sanchez, last fight, he, lost, I think it was, 2, 3 in a fucking row. Probably not 3, maybe it was 2. I know it was 2. Diego lost, and he's been around for fucking years. And so it was a big deal when he won. And hopefully he wins again, and he can beat Mickey Gall's ass. That's fine. Mickey Gall losing to Diego Sanchez, even in a late career Diego Sanchez, I don't think will look as bad as the other way around. You know, we always talk about who has more to lose in a fight. Well, in this fight, as in the last few fights, Diego Sanchez is always going to have more to lose just because he's the older guy. So everyone's always looking at him to lose. They're expecting him to lose. So if he can win, good. Fuck Mickey Gall. I got nothing against Mickey Gall. That was unnecessary. I have nothing. No, you know what I got? I was like, what do you have against Mickey Gall? I think there's one thing you didn't like about Mickey Gall, and it was never anything personal that he said. But, I mean, it's always... I mean, realistically, I fucking hate everyone because it's personal about what they don't say. But Mickey Gall, he didn't run me the wrong way with anything, and then I remembered that it was the way he beat... it was the way that he beat CM Punk. That's who Mickey Gall is. In case you guys are like, who the fuck is Mickey Gall? That name sounds familiar. It sounds like a stupid name. Mickey Gall. Mickey Mickey Mouse over here, Mickey fucking Mouse, Gallstones over here, Mr. Gallstones, Mickey Mouse Gallstones, sir. Young Buck, this is a young guy. Did you guys see that when he came out and his fans were like wearing orange shirts and they had like an alligators on them? Mickey Gall. Anyway, the way that he beat CM Punk was kind of weak, because he was totally like outclassed CM Punk, and that Mickey Gall could have fucking like, I don't know, done a cool spinning head kick. He could have hit him with the coolest spinning heel hook that I mentioned earlier that I wanted Ben Askren to do. He could have done some cool shit, but instead he took him down, and it was like a boring fight. It was lame. I don't know. Why does no one talk about these things?
He's really good everywhere. His greatest strength is that he doesn't have
creativity.
Also, no, I don't know what the fuck Mickey Gall's been doing since. I know that he beat Sage Northcutt, which is cool. And then after that, I don't really know what's happening. I heard that Sage is fighting, though. Is he fighting? He's fighting this card, too? Really? Is he fighting this card? I don't know. That'd be funny if he was, since they were both fought previously. And, I mean, that's cool. I wonder how often that happens, that fighters who have fought previously are on the same fight card. I'm sure it happens, like, all the time. But since I'm just now been watching UFC for 3 years and really watched it for the past few years, I can connect all the dots now, and I, like, recognize names, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. That's all this got to hear. You know what I mean?
And also his creativity. But I mean, this is a guy that can strike with you and throw flashy kicks and flashy spinning attacks. This is a guy that can submit you with a silhouette stretch on the ground. This is a guy that has sambo throws. I mean, he's really he's so good everywhere, which really creates issues for the opposition. I mean, I think if you're Zabit, you have to figure out like what is your, because we saw in the Bochniak in the Kyle Bochniak fight that he was almost too willing to just stand and exchange and get into a brawl, whereas he was the better technical fighter.
And that's something that could be said. Okay, so we're talking about the Lil Heathen Jeremy Stevens fight with Zabit and Zabist and Lil Heathen. And yeah, it is safe to say that Jeremy Stevens has knockout power over Zabit just from what we've seen, because Jeremy Stevens has fucking laid people out with that right hand. That shit was dope. Have you guys seen Jeremy Stevens highlights? They're pretty cool. But we talked about comparing it to Zabit's highlights, and I mean, that's what I mean. They're both really fucking cool. Do you guys know what fighters are? They're like modern day gladiators. It's like not gladiators. What's the word? They're like modern day slaves to capitalism, really is what they are. Because they go out there and fight in like these fucking modern day coliseums for modern day pennies. You know what I mean? These boys don't make millions of dollars. They make fucking tens of thousands. They don't got health insurance. Do you guys know that? UFC fighters don't got health insurance. Do you care? You should care. It's fucked up. It's stupid. They don't get any money back like other people in other sports. They want to keep calling it a sport. You want to call it a sport and then fucking treat it like one and pay these motherfuckers. And you know what? Fuck that. Fuck that. Now I think about it, we should get away from that, because like I said earlier, fuck sports to begin with. Yeah, those athletes get paid a lot, but they also don't have many rights. So realistically, we should be treating this as what it is, which is something much more than a sport. This is much more than just like a spectacle. Like, these are people's lives on the line, and no one has fucking died yet. And that's the only reason they can continue to get away with such fucking shitty practices. If we had fucking deaths already, there would be a much bigger agenda within the UFC and within the media as a whole to look at that and be like, oh yeah, we should probably fucking pay these people right, because they're getting brain damage. Wasn't it like that in boxing, Kain? Yeah, it is, and they get paid a lot more. Isn't that what just
in that fight in many areas? So I think he needs to kind of concentrate on those areas. If he can get Jeremy Stevens into the clinch and use his sambo and get him down and use his grappling, I think that would be a big I guess, pointing in the right direction for him.
Well, that's an interesting point to this fight, because he is someone who seems very willing to entertain. And he seems like he wants to entertain, like he likes to entertain.
Which we appreciate.
Getting sucked into the brawls, doing these entertaining moves off the cage, all sorts of spinning strikes, the silhouette stretch, something we really didn't see until Aljo did it basically an hour before him. That's a terrible thing to do against Jeremy Stevens, to want to be entertaining. Because if there's one thing that Jeremy Stevens is phenomenal at, it is winning brawls.
Yes.
And if you're Zippy, that it seems like the worst possible round to go here on Saturday.
Yeah, if he gets to a boxing act fight with Jonathan Stevens, it could be a very unfortunate night for Zippy.
Stonerhead would like to know.
Good old Stonerhead.
Love Stonerhead.
Because it's kind of related to the question you just answered. The card is stacked from top to bottom. Which fight, in your opinion, is flying under the radar?
I would say that Tisha Torres Weili Zhang fight is under the radar. It is on the main card, but I don't feel like it's being talked about as much as the fights that we've already talked about here today.
And I think part of that is because I don't know that a lot of people know who Weili Zhang is, even though she seems to be.
You know, this is fair. I didn't know who the fuck Tisha Torres is fighting. I didn't know fucking Tisha Torres was fighting. Do you guys know who the fuck Tisha Torres is? Do you know her nickname? It's Mini Tornado. Mini Tornado. We just got done talking about Lil Heathen, Jeremy Stevens, Lil Heathen, Lil L-I-L. Now we're talking about Mini Tornado. Or Tiny Tornado. Fuck. I ruined the stick. The whole stick about her name, Kain, is her name is Tisha Torres, and then her nickname was Tiny Tornado. It's a T. It's a triple T. It's like Triple H, but it's 4 T's. Anyway, Tisha Tiny Tornado Torres is a big fucking deal because she just came off a huge fucking win. Or loss. It was a huge loss. Yeah, it was a big loss. But by big, I mean like she like fucking, not like she got her fucking ass kicked. Who the fuck did Tisha Torres fight? This is disrespectful. Let's talk about Tisha Torres like we know who she is, because we do. And we happen to know that Tisha Torres is a big deal. In the sense of like she's getting up there for a title shot. Did she just fight for the title? I want to say she just fought for the title. Or was like really close to it, is what happened. And then she lost one and got bumped back down. I don't remember. We're gonna find out right now. Give me a minute. What the fuck is this? I'm on UFC.com. It doesn't have her fucking fight record. Why is it so hard to find a fucking fight record? What is this? Okay, they're on ESPN.com now. What does their ESPN.com look like? Oh, that's cool. I mean, at least the ESPN thing looks cool. Oh, not even. That's all I have? You fucking suck. Where's the fucking fight history, you motherfucker? I'm so mad right now. Because it shouldn't be this hard to figure this shit out. Okay, here we go. Opponents. Yeah. So she just fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Yeah, see, so she fought Jessica Andrade, which was a big fucking huge fight. Also Michelle Waterson, that's a big fight because, you know, everyone knows Michelle Waterson. Also looks like she lost to Rose Namajunas back in the day in 2016. She lost against Rose and then defeated Beck Rawlings. Beck Rawlings, who has been on my fucking radar lately because I don't know if you guys know about BFK, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, some shit. It's dope. It's fucking great. Bare Knuckle Fighting. They've had 4 events. They're going on their 5th. Beck Rawlings, who we're talking about right now, who looks here like she was defeated by the Tiny Tornado back in 2017. Beck Rawlings, is now the champion over there. She's a 2-belt holding champion because they put 2 belts on the line. I don't know. It's really cool. Go check it out. I got a whole video about it. I'll link it in the description about bare knuckle fighting. It just became legal. It's a big deal. Bare knuckle fighting was illegal for like hundreds of years, and it just became legal now in America. And they held events. They're on their 5th. They just held their 4th event. They're gonna go on their 5th. It's dope. It's great. Anyway, that's Beck Rawlings. Anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, she beat Michelle Waterson. Then she lost to Jessica Andrade, which is a big deal because Jessica Andrade was like fucking just had fought for the belt not long ago, and then she fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So that's why she was on my radar, was because she had just fought the Joanna and lost, unfortunately. So then, you know, Joanna was like, I am back, and you're like, nah. You beat Tisha Torres, who just came off of a loss. You beat Tisha Torres, who just came off of a loss, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I'm just saying. Tisha Torres is fucking great. Tisha Torres is great. That's all I gotta say. Isn't Tisha Torres fucking part of the gay community too? Yeah. Yeah, she is. I think. No, she's not. She's just friends with them? I don't remember now. No, because that's Jessica Andrade. But I think it was Tisha Torres too, right? Because I remember I was thinking, I was like, they got gays versus gays. I don't know, I don't remember. I think Tisha Torres isn't gay. But you know who is gay? Lesbian. Let's use the correct pronouns here, okay? They're not pronouns. Let's use the correct terms here. I don't think Tisha Torres is lesbian, but she is. She is. I'm wrong. I remember now in my mind. I remember seeing the videos. Tisha Torres is lesbian. Shout out to the lesbians. You know who else is lesbian? Amanda Nunes, who is the current bantamweight, women's bantamweight holder. She's the one to beat Ronda Rousey. We talked about all this earlier. We were talking about Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey and holding belts and the best female fighters of all time. Yeah, right now, currently, the best female fighter of all time. Currently, the best female fighter of all time who did beat the last best fighter of all time, who unfortunately Tyron Woodley might not be able to do with GSP, but it doesn't matter because we already talked about this. But who was able to do that, and it matters in what we're talking about right now, was fucking our beautiful sister in the fight, Amanda Nunes. She's out proud and lesbian. She's about to get married with her girlfriend, who is also a fighter. Her name is Nina Ansaroff, and she fights a weight division, 2 weight divisions below her, 1 weight division below her, from 135 down to she fights at 115 because the 125 division is brand new and no one fights in that division just yet, but a lot of people are moving to that division. Anyway, I know a lot about things. MMA, I'm not as casual, I think. I'm pretty casual. Anyway, Tisha Torres, lesbian. Amanda Nunes, lesbian. Her girlfriend, Nina Ansaroff, lesbian. That's 3 lesbians I've named. Now let's get to Jessica Andrade, 4th lesbian in the UFC, all at the fucking highest rankings. And Jessica Andrade, I'll never forget, she lost her fight. She fought for the belt against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Unfortunately, did lose, but then proposed to her wife in the ring. Jessica Andrade, cutest thing ever. Shout out to lesbians. Shout out to our fucking LGBTQI plus community out here in the world. Unfortunately, no, they don't really talk about gay rights or lesbian rights, and they don't talk about things that are happening to our people. So, you know, that sucks. But no one does in fighting. No one talks about it. About what's happening, I mean. But I'm calling it out that it's cool that we have them in the UFC. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I don't know who Tisha Torres. I think Tisha Torres is with another. I'm pretty sure Tisha Torres is going out with another female fighter, top ranked also, which would give us a 5th high ranked lesbian fighter. Oh.
So her last fight was overseas. It was a card. Where was it? That was in Asia, wasn't it?
It's one of the Asian cards, yeah.
And I mean, she won an absolutely violent, like one of the most violent strawweight fights, maybe the most violent strawweight fight
against Jessica
Aguilar, right?
Like that's not
a long term, you know, one of the best. Yeah, exactly. She didn't just eke out a win. I mean, she put it on Aguilar. It was bloody. It was very impressive. And this is someone that
his second UFC fight doing that.
I think that she could. I mean, this is a big test. First of all, because Tisha Torres is a big jump. As good as Jessica Aguilar is, she is kind of on the other side of her prime, whereas Tisha Torres is right in her prime and still one of the best strawweights. Like you said, it's one of those fights that we'll find out a lot about the 2 people in the fight, because Torres is kind of being like she's being positioned as the gatekeeper in this fight for Shaun.
Tisha is the underdog in this fight.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
That surprises me, because if you look at, like, I understand she's lost a couple recently, but if you look at who that was against, Jessica Andrade and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Like, Tisha Torres.
Yeah, and Jessica Andrade, like I just mentioned, Jessica Andrade had fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So we're talking about like the top 2, top 3, top 4 ranked fucking flyweights in the world, and that's who she lost to. You know what I mean?
Not lose to people who are not the absolute elite in the division. Her other losses to Rose, not the units.
Right. Yeah.
Those are the top 3 women in the division. Throw Weili Zhang right here against Tisha Torres.
See?
This quickly in her UFC career, the UFC must feel very strongly that they have something there.
The other interesting thing about that fight against Aguilar is that Zhang has kind of been known for her stand-up game early on in her career, going into the UFC and in her first UFC fight, and she actually beat Aguilar, who was a great wrestler, on the ground, which that was also kind of illuminating as to what kind of prospect she is.
Yeah. For my
First person to ever finish IPRC.
Yeah, first person to finish her, and she did it violently. I mean, it was violent.
Yeah. For my fight that's flying under the radar, I'm looking at the main card too, but it's another fight that really isn't being talked about. It's Cody Garbrandt versus Pedro Munoz. Cody Garbrandt just a couple years ago did stuff to Dominic Cruz that no one has ever done to Dominic Cruz. Dominated him in a way that was just bizarre.
Oh my god, let's talk about this. I had no idea that Cody Garbrandt was on this card either. I had no idea that Tisha Torres was on this card. I had no idea that Cody Garbrandt was on this card. I just found out like an hour ago. I was skimming through the gram when I was taking a poop. I'm skimming through the gram, and I follow a bunch of MMA grams, and one of them had posted some clip about Cody Garbrandt, and I was like, oh yeah, he's fighting. I thought I saw it somewhere. And yeah, it is fucking crazy, because just a few years removed, he fucking beat Dominic the Dominator. That's his nickname. Cody's nickname is No Love, so No Love goes in there and dominates the Dominator like we had never seen anyone do to any champion, really. That shit was amazing. And now he's fighting someone who we don't even know. I have no idea who he's fighting. Who the fuck cares? Well, but it is crazy because he was literally just a part of that TJ Dillashaw controversy. The whole back and forth. You know, he lost he just lost the belt to Dillashaw and then came back and then lost in the rematch, and then I think he had like another loss, and now this is where we're at. Or I think even just from there to here, I don't know. Tell me about it, Sean.
To see in person, he was the fighter of the year for me that year. I think it was 2017.
Yes.
I'm getting my years mixed up at this point. Sure, he's lost a couple in a row against TJ Dillashaw, but he is still one of the absolute.
See, yeah, so he's only lost 2 versus Dillashaw. Sure.
Maybe
Which kind of goes to show you how much the bantamweights aren't talked about. The bantamweights at men's. I mean, we got women's bantamweight with Amanda Nunes and the prospects that are coming up and fighting her, and that's cool because that was the Ronda Rousey division, and it's a very shallow division, so it's easy to like keep track of who's in the division to begin with. But then we're talking about the men's bantamweight division, and I've noticed recently, like, I don't know anything about that division. Who the fuck is in it? I knew that Dominic was in it. I knew that Cody was in it, and then Cody beat Dominic, and then TJ was in it, and then TJ was fighting Cody, and then he lost twice. Cody did, and now TJ is the reigning champion of bantamweight, and now we have Cody, who was just the guy, the number 2 guy, the number 1 guy, then the number 2 guy, and then fought to be 1, and then stayed at number 2, 3. Where's he at now? Because I'm saying that the guy he's fighting against is a guy I've never fucking heard of about. So what's going on, bantamweights? Where are the stars there? Now let's talk about the stars in the division.
He has lost a couple, but he is still one of the absolute.
Well, I mean, the UFC really. Let's not get it twisted. I'm not placing blame on the bantamweights. No, I'm placing blame on the fucking business that owns them, like that owns the fighters. I'm talking about the corporation, the brand that is UFC, and how shitty they are. They continue to not push their fighters more. They're not giving them the exposure and the attention that they deserve, so people like us don't know who the fuck anybody is except the very top guys, but that's like 1 or 2 people. And then when those 1 or 2 people fights fizzle out, then who do we have left? We're in the same predicament that we are with the light heavyweights. We have John Jones fighting Anthony Smith. Most people are like, who the fuck? Anthony Smith? Who? Well, not everyone, because a lot of us, I consider myself with the majority of the UFC fans that are like on the fringe, kind of hardcore, but not really. We just barely know the top guys. We just like to think we're hardcore, but we're totally not. We don't know anything. We're not that much different from casuals. That's how I feel about us. So that's kind of the same thing that we have with Anthony Johnson, where I kind of knew who he was, so it's a big deal he's going to fight with John Jones. But after that, who else is coming up next in the light heavyweight division? I don't know. Who's coming up next in the heavyweight division? We had, again, the same thing. We had Daniel Cormier, Stipe back and forth, the Brock Lesnar thing, the Kane, and now who? Just like, who the fuck is this guy at bantamweight? That's what we're talking about here.
The best at bantamweight. He is coming back now, and I'm curious to see what a recharged Cody Garbrandt looks like.
Yes.
Because that was something that was very apparent in the second TJ Dillashaw fight, was he maybe had not fixed some of the holes in his game defensively. Has he addressed that over his time now? He's out being a dad, being a husband, kind of enjoying life and resetting. He's now hitting the reset button in full as 2019 starts. Could be a big year for him if he starts out with a bang on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think that I saw him at that press conference a few weeks ago in Las Vegas, and he really did seem refreshed. He really did. He seemed very loose, which sometimes when he gets into fight week, he can seem a little bit. And we're not there yet. We'll see him today, but I was encouraged by how he looked at that press conference. He seemed like he was.
You liked the outfit.
I definitely dug the outfit.
Some Hawaiian shirt or something.
The outfit was awesome. I asked him about it, but just his demeanor, he seemed like he was in a really good place, which is what you want, because I feel like Cody Garbrandt in a good place mentally is a very, very dangerous Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, I mean, this is maybe only tangentially related, but we saw it earlier this week. Jeremy Stevens talking about sort of taking a mental health break after the Jose Aldo fight.
Oh my god, I forgot about that Jeremy Stevens highlight. Let's talk about Jeremy Stevens' fucking interview where he talked about mental health and he talked about his fucking drug addict mom. That shit was crazy. Yo, shout out to Lil Heathen. That fucking name.
Seemed like that's what Cody Garbrandt did as well, and those can be very beneficial in a weird sport like this, where it is such a grind, and these athletes' failures and successes are so on such a large public scale.
Yeah.
They're embarrassing on such a large public scale, getting knocked out, or however.
Right.
This is a sport where mental health breaks are very important. So you see guys come back sometimes from very, very recharged and ready to go. Sometimes it looks like they still need some time.
And Garbrandt deleted his social media, which I think was actually a very smart move after that loss to Dillashaw.
Yeah.
False. By Matt the Donk.
All right.
Yo, fuck Cody No Love. I don't like Cody No Love because he talks about how he believes in Jesus. Fuck Jesus. Fuck you and your crazy beliefs about Jesus. Organized religion and all that stand by as it continues to destroy our fucking planet and rape our children to be ashamed of themselves. Fuck you, Cody No Love. And fuck my old friend David Dawson who tried to defend him by saying, he said to me, he said, well, I said to him, I said, yeah, did you hear that this guy, Cody No Love, he's got a cool nickname, No Love, he's full of tattoos out there, he sounded cool. But then I heard him talk about Jesus and I was like, oh, fuck this guy. And did you hear that he beat Dominic Cruz? You know Dominic, right? This is what I told my friend, David Dawson. And he was like, yeah, I think it's fucking dumb that you don't like Cody just because he believes in God. And I was like, you think it's dumb that I don't like him because he believes in God? You think it's dumb that I don't like someone because they believe in God? I think it's dumb that you believe in God. And then we don't talk anymore. So fuck that guy. And fuck Cody No Love. I hope he loses. And I'm glad he lost to Dillashaw twice. Fuck him.
All right, get around.
Not
True or
the
false?
dunk.
Askren
go to
fights
the water for
for a
this one.
UFC title before he retires.
Askren fights for a UFC title before he retires? I would say false, just because I don't see Tyron Woodley giving that up anytime soon. Maybe he goes to to middleweight if Askren strings a couple wins together to clear the path for Ben. But I would say false.
I would actually say true, but not at 170. I think that if there is a 165 division, I think that Askren, if he were to beat Lawler, would be a shoo-in to fight someone in that division.
Askren versus Khabib, can you imagine that?
Would be
I
phenomenal.
don't even understand what that would look
Would
like.
be phenomenal. I think that there's a good possibility of that, and I think that, I mean, it really is a matter of, as far as Askren goes, how much the UFC will allow him to do these
How
things.
far?
Oh, come on. Askren versus... Come on. He's like, Askren versus Khabib, can you believe that? Well, Kane, weren't you just comparing Khabib and GSP and Askren earlier in the video? Yeah, but, I mean, who the fuck is Ben Askren to come out of nowhere? Yeah, no, come on. Didn't you watch the MMA on Point video? Shout out twice. This time again to MMA on Point. Didn't you see that MMA on Point video about Ben Askren? And how he was like a world champ in 2 different things for like 1,000 fucking days? And you yourself told your wife how impressive that was? Yeah. But did he just get to jump over everyone? Especially with the win over Robbie? Again, no shit on Robbie, but he's not like the top in the division right now.
Or they will let him progress.
How much rope they're gonna give Askren, because there's no surprise. It's not a surprise. There is tension between him and Dana White. There always has been. I don't think that'll go away. They're not gonna be sending each other Christmas cards most likely anytime soon. So if they they're giving him a very hard matchup off the bat. Let's say he beats Robbie Lawler. what do they do next? Do they actually give him a step up? Do they give him another really impossibly hard fight? I mean, what
I feel
do
like
they do?
his role in this division until Tyron is not champion is going to be to sort of be the guy that gets the retreads, right? Gets the Darren Till and Stephen Thompsons who don't have a route back to that title because they lost to Tyron in very dominant fashion.
Possible.
Give him to Ben Askren. Let him do it.
It's weird because he's not fighting Woodley. So as long as Woodley is the champion, he's not fighting for the 170-pound belt. If there's a 165-pound belt, I think there's a possibility that he could fight for it and maybe deserving. But again, it's up to the UFC and what they want to do. I mean, they may have Conor McGregor come and fight for the 165-pound title. Who knows? And it wouldn't be against Ben Askren.
No. What's next?
The next question is, true or false? John Jones goes 3-0 this year.
True. I think that's true.
I would say true, but it's hard to say who he's fighting.
It doesn't seem that hard. I mean, Anthony Smith and maybe Thiago Santos.
Okay, but
And then somebody else will
you don't think so? You think that there's no chance of him going to heavyweight and fighting Daniel Cormier?
No. Not unless the UFC offered him the bag. They just gave him $10 million or something crazy.
I think the UFC is going to want to do that. I mean, Dana White has said if he wants to do that fight.
Dana White says a lot of things.
He does, but I mean, this is a pretty obvious one. Of course, why wouldn't they want that fight? Why wouldn't
I
they?
just don't see it happening.
So you think that in after the Smith fight, let's say Jones wins, the next two fights this year will just be against other contenders in the division.
Yeah.
The UFC will not want him to go and take a. I mean, that's all they want him to do. All they want right now is fighters to move.
I think
to
John
jump
Jones
divisions
does not
and-
care whatsoever what the UFC wants.
That's
to
true. I don't think so either. But they could make it worth his while financially.
I think that guy sees a very clear roadmap for himself being crowned the GOAT, and that is
Yeah.
to just continue to defend this title as many times as possible within the calendar year.
Well, because that's what he should be doing. That's what champions should be doing. I mean, I understand they want money fights, and that's fine. They want the champ versus champion fights. I'm all for them, literally, pretty much every single time. So that's great. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just saying what they should be doing in the sense of what we've been talking about earlier with becoming the greatest of all time. You need to have those title defenses under your belt. That's what you need to worry about, is those title defenses. So what the fuck was the question? We talking about what's gonna happen to John Jones after Anthony Smith, and then we talking about the going back up to heavyweight to Daniel Cormier, or is he just gonna keep fighting contenders? Well, that's what we were just talking about the contenders and how we don't know who the contenders are. We don't know who they are until they get to fight the champion, because the champions are the only ones that get any sort of fucking press coverage, because the UFC does a shitty job at its fucking job. Fuck the UFC. They should be defending their belts against top contenders, because that's the only way we're gonna know who the fuck these people are.
Do it over and over again. This year, next year, just keep knocking out these 205 title defenses.
How many defenses does John Jones have right now?
0.
Well, I'm not consecutive, but in his previous reign as champion.
I don't know, maybe like 8?
8. I think he's around like 8, right?
Something like that.
So this would be 9, so he would tie George St. Pierre. It wouldn't be consecutive.
That's not how that works.
It wouldn't be consecutive, but it's still a title defense. There's still something to be said about the cumulative title defenses, even if
Yeah.
it's consecutive.
That's fine. I'll agree with that.
So he would tie GSP, and then Mighty Mouse has 11, right?
You're
could-
combining different records, but sure, whatever.
Well,
I know you love you some John Jones.
I'm just saying, he could, if we're not talking about consecutive title defenses, he could end up breaking that title defense all-time record of how many times he defended one.
I mean, he probably will. Probably will. I think.
Maybe. But again, also 3-0, like he's gonna fight 3 times this year. I know he wants to. It'll be March 2nd when this fight happens. Does he fight 2 more times? Maybe.
I haven't seen him get one in July and then something at the end of the year. Like there's a lot of time.
Well, the way the UFC moves right now, and the way they need title fights for these cards, I'm sure that there will be pressure on him to fight 3 times. But
He
you
seems
never
very
know.
much to be in the mode of trying to make up for lost time right now.
Yeah.
So
Also, though, he is a guy that he does take his time when he's injured, and he makes sure he's 100%. He's always been. It's actually a good thing about him is that he doesn't try to rush back if he's injured. He does take the time and he gets healthy, and he always wants to go into it 100%. At least from an injury perspective, maybe not from a partying perspective as he did in the past, but it'll be interesting to see. I guess I'll say true, but I feel like there's an asterisk next to that true.
Asterisk next to John Jones. I see what you're doing.
Now you're putting words in my mouth.
Okay, so
That's messed
there are
up.
three more true or falses.
Okay.
Featherweight has an interim title fight within the next 6 months.
This is gonna be true.
True.
This is gonna be
Absolutely true.
It's
Yeah.
so silly. I know we'll talk about the lightweight situation later, so I don't want to go too deep into it yet, but all of this is so stupid. And that's going to end up being true.
Of course, because if Max Holloway, I mean, he's going up next month. He's fighting Dustin Poirier for the interim lightweight title. If he were to win,
he's the favorite in that.
he's the favorite in that fight, and I think for good reason. And if he wins, then what do you do?
Then he's the interim champ.
So he's a
interim champ?
Champion.
There's not a good ring on that. Let's just keep going.
That's not good. But yeah, there will almost definitely be. Yeah. If he wins, for certain, there's an interim champ at featherweight. If he loses, maybe not. But
Frank Yeager versus
probably.
Volkanovski or something.
Yeah.
All right, next question, or sorry, true or false, Conor fights twice in 2019.
Yeah, so that
Super
False.
That could not be
False.
I'll be stunned if we
False,
get one.
false. I think he'll fight once.
That's it.
We lost our moderator.
I think McGregor will fight one time.
I gotta answer a phone call, actually, it's kind of important. The last one is Stipe's next fight is a title fight.
I think true. I think he's just held out for a title fight.
I wasn't even done on my Connor.
She cut you off. She cut you
What
off.
is going
Oh,
on?
you were still talking about Conor. You said that I left. So I thought,
It's all good. It's all
you
good.
said that I left, so I thought that you didn't want to answer the question.
No. What was
Stipe's next fight is a title fight, and I think that's 100% true. I think basically that's what he's been holding out for this whole entire time, because once Daniel Cormier leaves, whether it's one
Yeah.
fight, two fights, whatever, there's going to be a vacant title available, and Stipe is the obvious man to throw in there.
But he's not gonna fight until then.
I mean, let's be real. Stipe needs to fucking fight at this point.
When is that gonna be? I'm gonna say false. I'm gonna say that he's gonna fight again.
I don't think
Yeah, that's false. Stipe's next fight will be for champion? No, it won't.
I don't think he would accept a fight other than a title fight.
So he's just gonna sit.
I think he'll
I mean,
just
I
sit
guess
out.
he's. I mean, he has a job. I mean, he's always getting paid as a fireman, which is just.
Do firemen make money? I thought that shit was still volunteer.
The UFC heavyweight champion, former UFC heavyweight champion, still a full-time fireman, which is his choice. But now it's almost like he needs the fireman job. He's not getting paid to fight.
What fight do you think he would accept that isn't a title fight?
Francis Ngannou?
Why would he do that?
I don't know.
It's a lose-lose. Either he keeps his spot.
You gotta
or
get
he-
paid
He's getting paid already.
as a fireman.
Yeah.
Not 6 figures for a fight purse.
He made a lot of money.
I mean, he made good money, but not. I mean,
I don't think he's hurting for money right now.
maybe not, but he has just had a kid, right? His family is growing.
Damn it, that's not how it works. See, this is the point. Everyone puts so much fucking value on money. Fuck money. You don't need that much. That's what Sean is saying. He's like, dude, he fucking made good money. Like, he's made a lot of money. He's like, it hasn't made that much money. No, he's made a lot of money for an average fucking human being. A lot of us live under the poverty line where we're making less than $20,000 a fucking year. If this dude has multiple years saved up, I mean, and like you said, he's working a job. No, he doesn't need to come back for fucking. That's the point. If you see human exploitation, I'm telling you, that shit's crazy.
They're expensive.
I just don't think that he would accept that fight.
I don't know. I think that I still think he could be the next challenger for Cormier, depending on Brock Lesnar. Can't count on freaking Brock Lesnar.
I think Francis has jumped him in that queue.
Maybe.
They let it be known I fucking hate Brock Lesnar. He's a fucking terrible fighter. He's lame. He's boring. Last fight was UFC 200 when he ruined the show by laying on Mark Hunt. We wanted to see a big badass fight between two big motherfuckers, Mark Hunt, Brock Lesnar. And what did Brock Lesnar do? He laid on Mark Hunt the entire time. It was so boring. It was so lame. And at the end, it comes out that he was on steroids anyway. Fuck Brock Lesnar. Go Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt has been forced to fight steroid abusers over and over and over, including when he fought Brock Lesnar, because the UFC knew that Brock Lesnar was on steroids and still let it happen because they wanted that money, whether it was the UFC or the commission, whoever the fuck did it. That whole shit was corrupt. And I'm glad that Mark Hunt is suing the UFC. Fuck him.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm more interested in Francis DC than Stipe.
Man, if
DC
Francis
too.
Ngannou were to get that title shot over Stipe Miocic, man, Stipe would just flip his.
But
lid.
Francis has been out here fighting. Francis won 2 fights in a
Okay.
row against some of the strongest wrestlers in the division in less than a minute each.
Sure.
If you go out there and you knock out Cain Velasquez in 26 seconds, I'm sorry, but that's more impressive than sitting on the sidelines.
Stipe did dominate
It's true.
Francis for 5 rounds.
I mean, he dominated him for like 4 rounds. That first
Okay,
round was
first
real
round,
crazy.
okay.
And
4
that
rounds and
was, I
change.
firmly believe that was a different Francis. In the UFC, also just they give things to guys who continue to fight. They do
Yeah.
not give people credit for sitting out on the sidelines
Yeah.
anymore.
All right. I mean, so you're saying false.
I
False.
said, no, I say his next fight is still
Oh,
for a
okay,
title
okay.
fight, yeah.
I say false. I think that he has to fight again. I think he's gonna have to.
We'll see.
All right. Kind of goes back to, this is related to the other question, and it's also by Lodovic.
Lodovic just bringing it.
Holloway versus Poirier.
All
That's
right, here
right.
we go.
First, what the fuck, UFC?
Yeah,
Language,
that's
Lodovic.
this whole thing is
Sean,
fucking
are you
ridiculous.
as frustrated as I am?
Yes.
Is Tony Ferguson the type of guy to never fight Khabib? What should be next for him, and what are the chances the winner fights Khabib? Who do you think has a better chance of winning? What is going to happen with the featherweight division? Oh my god, there's so many questions. However, just first, let's just, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a good way to start this. Okay, so I want to, when we have this conversation, I want to separate the fight itself, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, away from the actual everything around it.
Yes.
Because the fight itself, you cannot complain about it. It's an incredible fight. I think if they would have just, if that would have just been.
No, I'll complain about the fight itself right now. The fight itself, who the hell cares? It don't make sense. Different weight classes, they just shouldn't have even been happening.
Thing we would have sat there and been like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is the greatest fight ever.
All right. That was weird.
You'll be alright. So it's an amazing fight. It makes no effing sense whatsoever. It makes no damn sense for 2 different divisions that both of which need to just get going again. Both of which have been stalled for a long time, and it felt like we finally got to a place at featherweight where Max Holloway was here, he was back, beat the hell out of Brian Ortega. There was a queue of contenders lined up to fight him, and it felt like, okay, we're back rolling at 145. That is like the one division where things actually make sense again. And now we're throwing this Max Holloway all of a sudden fighting for a not even a real title, a fake title at 155. Tony Ferguson out here doing nothing, just getting skipped again. I know he turned down this fight, but I would turn down this fight if I was Tony Ferguson too. You just fought for an interim title, and it literally meant nothing. Why you won 12 fights in a row? Why do you feel? Oh, someone's calling us.
Off the rails.
You have won 12 fights in a row. Why do you need to continue to fight for non-title fights? The interim title is not a title. It's a fake title.
Yes, yes.
And I understand that Khabib is going to be out for a while, but Khabib's suspension really is 6 months. It's not a 9-month suspension unless he makes it a 9-month suspension
Yes.
by not.
Which I think it will be.
I agree with you. But that is not the fault of Tony Ferguson.
No.
Tony Ferguson is sitting here. He deserves the Khabib fight more than any person has deserved any fight in the history of the UFC, more or less. 12 straight wins and the
Absolutely.
deepest division in the sport.
Yes.
It's true.
Why
Tony
would you
Ferguson
turn
is
it
the,
into a
yeah,
title
it's
again
true.
If you were Tony Ferguson.
So, my question, and this is the thing that we don't really know, is why did Tony Ferguson turn down that fight? Why? What is the reason? It could be Esther Lynn chiming in money. It could be. It could be money. We don't really know. It could be timing. We don't. He hasn't really spoken much about this. He hasn't spoken at all, except for some cryptic tweets, which is kind of Tony Ferguson's MO, cryptic tweets. So we don't really know. We don't really know the answer to that question. Dana White said he turned it down, but that usually means something else. It usually means that turned down the money, turned down the timing, and they went with Holloway versus Poirier. I think it was supposed to actually be Holloway versus Ferguson. That was the fight that.
See, this is the thing though. Earlier I mentioned how I'm okay with super fights, but this is not how super fights work. I'm not okay with Max Holloway fighting Dustin Poirier because Dustin Poirier is not a champion in that division. At the 155 division, at the lightweight division, we're talking about lightweight at 155 and we're talking about featherweight at 145. Max Holloway is a champion at 145 featherweight. He defeated Jose Aldo. We talked about this earlier, guys, but you're paying attention? He defeated Jose Aldo twice in amazing fashion to not only win the belt, but then defend the belt. So Max Holloway is the fucking shit at 145, and if he wants to fight the champion at 155, which is Khabib, which almost happened once, that's fucking perfectly fine. And if Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That should happen. But what shouldn't happen is him fighting Dustin Poirier, because Dustin Poirier, unfortunately, isn't even the second in line. Like, he's not, or like the number one in line. Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose he's the second in line. Because the number one in line currently is Khabib. As far as the 155, the number one in line to fight Khabib for the championship is, who we've been talking about this whole time. Who we talking about? I forgot his name already. Tony fucking Ferguson. The man who has 12 wins, as it just said. He's got 12 wins. His name is Tony Ferguson. He's the interim champion. At least he was. He's supposed to be the interim champion at 155, which means that he gets the next fight at 155 against Khabib. But now they're saying they're making up an interim belt. For what? For 155? Because Khabib is out? That doesn't make sense at all. Because Tony Ferguson just had a 155 interim belt. You can't just take away that. You can't just take away an interim belt and give it to another guy. What are we doing? Or they're not giving it to another guy, but they're saying, okay, so he's not the interim belt holder, so now we have a new interim belt on the line, which is fine. But Max Holloway cannot fight for an interim belt because he is a champion. He can only fight another champion. You want a super fight? Go down and fight at 135, Max. Kane, don't you remember last time Max tried to cut weight? Exactly. So let's stop with these super fights. I thought Max Holloway has been our dude. Many people in the media have said, oh, we're so glad that Max Holloway wants to just keep fighting top contenders. He doesn't want these super fights. He's trying to keep the division alive. Like I mentioned, again, moments prior, he's trying to keep the division alive by fighting the top contenders and continuing to build stars out of people by passing on the torch and letting them fucking fight, like fighting them so that we can know who they are, because you only know who people are at the very top and the small circle around those people. So Max Holloway at 145 going up to fight for the interim belt at 155 doesn't make fucking sense, because he shouldn't be fighting for an interim belt as a champion. That's a step backwards. You're already a fucking champion. You don't want the interim belt for another division, because what's gonna happen if Khabib is out for 9 months? Like, that's what I mean. Not only that, but I mean, didn't that fucking fight just happen? Didn't Khabib just fucking fight at 155? I guess not. Time goes by fast. It's probably already been like half a year. I don't know. I guess they're probably justified in making up an interim belt at 155. It's probably justified. But what's not justified is that they're going to have Max Holloway from 145 come up to fight for it. It just doesn't make sense. It was cool when we were going to see him versus Khabib. But really the biggest draw there was the fact that it was champion versus champion. And right now we have a champion versus the top contender. Because Dustin Poirier isn't even the interim holder. Like, he doesn't even have the interim belt. If it was at least Tony Ferguson, I would get on board with that fight. Can we talk about that fight? Why don't we have that fight? Tony Ferguson versus Max Holloway. And that's what they're saying, that he turned down that fight? He turned down what fight? Are you saying that wait a minute. Are you telling me that Tony Ferguson at 155 interim champion turned down the fight with Dustin Poirier at 155? Or are you saying that Tony Ferguson at 155 turned down the interim belt defense against 145 Max Holloway champion? Because either or, I'm sure it probably was a discrepancy about pay. And well, good. You don't want to fucking pay Tony Ferguson what his goddamn due. You don't want to give him a chance for a title. You finally give him a chance for an interim belt, which was against Anthony Pettis, which was kind of fucking weird of all people. Right? So he wins the interim belt, and now he's stripped of the interim belt. I'm assuming, because they're talking about fighting for an interim championship at 155. That's what just happened with Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis. And that's what I'm saying too, is that he should be asking for more money, because if you're an interim champion now, we're talking, interim champions are only supposed to be there to fight for the champion belt when the champion gets better. They're not, or to defend, right? That makes sense too, right? To defend the belt. So you can't just they should defend the belt. You can't just be stripping people, man. Is that what happened? Was he stripped?
Tried to make, and then for whatever reason, Ferguson didn't want it. Now, is it because he doesn't want the interim title? He doesn't want to fight again, or is there another reason? Because look, the fact of the matter is, the winner of that fight, and again, we don't know. We have no idea what will happen later on this year, but the winner of that fight between Holloway and Poirier will probably fight Khabib. It seems like they're. This is where I know. It drives me crazy. So this is where we're at. This is what the UFC does. Okay. Here's UFC 236. Here's the card. It's in Atlanta. You need a main event.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
What titles are available?
None.
Are there any titles available for the main event of UFC 236?
No.
No? Okay. We'll create an interim title. Interim title headlining UFC 236. Who should we get to do it? The top 2 contenders? Alright, let's call them. Are you ready? Okay, you're ready. Are you ready? No,
How
I
is
can't
Max
do
Holloway
it.
the top contender though? This
Well,
doesn't make. This is the part of this.
Okay,
Of,
yes.
To me, that makes.
It
the
should have
least
really
amount
been.
of
It
sense.
really should have been Ferguson versus Poirier.
That would have been fine.
Right.
I would have been
Yeah.
okay with that. 'Cause
Right, exactly. Because then Poirier would have been coming up to fight for the belt. If Khabib is Khabib is a champion, and below the Khabib champion is their interim champion, which is Tony Ferguson. Okay, and then below that is a top contender, Dustin Poirier. Okay, so Dustin Poirier, since Khabib is out, that's why we have the interim champion, the vice president, as you would, the second in command as interim champion. Then yes, he is obligated to defend against Dustin Poirier. Now, if he chooses to not defend, unfortunately, based on what we recently heard with the Colby Covington situation, where they took away his fucking interim belt and let someone else fight for the championship, it sounds like it doesn't matter. You can't turn down a fight as an interim champion. So he had to defend against Dustin Poirier, and we all would have been happy with that. Yeah. So what doesn't make sense is that now, like I said from the beginning, is that Max Holloway from 145 is coming up, and like, he's a top contender, of course. He gets to be the top contender because he's the fucking champion of the division below. So that automatically bumps him up to the very top echelon of fighters in that division. So sure, he gets to fight for the belt, but fighting for the interim belt, it just seems, like I said, it just seems like a step backwards.
some sense on some level of just like, let's make
Okay.
this a sport again. Let's just figure out
Yeah.
some structure involved so that we can lead back to things making sense.
Okay.
This just further
Yes.
casts us into some no
This is
man's
weird.
land
It
where we
is.
don't understand it.
This is weird, yeah.
Right, but I do think that they had said they wanted Holloway to move up in weight. This is something that they did say.
They say stuff all the
Okay,
time. I was there in Toronto. Max Holloway made weight at 145, relatively easy, and
yeah.
then you saw him in the 4th round of that fight. He was not favored
100%.
against Brian
Agreed.
Ortega.
I'm not super, and I've said this. I'm not super against him moving up because I do think that
Now, why? But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about Max Holloway moving up at all. Max Holloway moving up, or UFC saying that they want him to move up, all of these things are irrelevant. They're completely irrelevant to the job at hand, which is supposed to be everyone sticks their fucking weight division and fights the guy above them. God damn it. Who's the next guy? You know what I mean?
he made that weight and he was phenomenal in that fight. I do think that his time at 145 is coming to an end eventually. I mean, as he gets into his
Someone in the comment section here in the UFC live video it just popped up and said, some guy said that that cord that took out Tony Ferguson's knee when he fell and couldn't fight Khabib, that's the person who's a real champion. Do you think Tony Ferguson could beat Khabib? I don't know. I think he could.
his late 20s, it's gonna get harder and harder, and I don't want to put him through that. I don't want to see him become Henan Barao, where
See, this is you making decisions for him, though.
I'm not making decisions for him. I'm just saying that's my opinion.
Okay.
I don't want to see him ravage his body trying to make that weight over and over again continually. Anyway, my point is the UFC has a fight. If there's no titles available, they create an interim title. They call up the two guys they want.
What? Yeah. What are you talking about when him moving up and the whole Henan Barao thing there? That don't compare your boy to Henan. Okay. Shout out to Henan Barao. Do you know about Henan? I'll have a whole video about Henan. There's not that much to say about Henan. I'm not gonna say it now though because it's irrelevant. We're just gonna keep moving on. Just watch Henan Barao dance. It's fucking beautiful.
Do it, and they say, "Are you available?" Okay, you're available. Are you available? I'm not available. Okay, we're moving on without you. Who's the next guy in line? They were gonna do that to Israel Adesanya. They were gonna put in Paulo Costa to fight Kelvin Gastelum if Adesanya turned down the fight for an interim title. Because it doesn't matter who it is, they have the date, they have the card, they have the interim title, and the fighters don't matter. They're replaceable. Unfortunately, it sucks. It's ridiculous. And then also the next layer to that is, okay, this is how much we're gonna give you to do it. And then the fighter says, no, I want more. It's like, okay, See you later. We're gonna move on. Who's the next guy on our list? Okay, it's this guy. We're gonna put him in instead. Are you gonna take that money? Okay, exactly. That's what happened to Colby Covington. Should have been Colby Covington fighting on this card this week.
See, we just talked about all of this, how it should have been Colby Covington, and how it all comes down to fighter pay, and these people aren't being compensated for the intense manner in which they live their fucking lives. These are fighters that put their bodies and mental health on the line every single moment of every day, just based on what they do for a living. And y'all act like y'all can't fucking pay them right. This shit's ridiculous. And then just want to treat them like it's just like they're just a commodity, like it's just a product. We just move on. Fuck them, right? No.
Right? And for whatever reason, he either it's the timing or the money, and they said, okay, we're moving on without you. Who's next on the docket? It's just a message to the fighters that if you're not a champion, essentially, and even if you are a champion, we're gonna move on without you. We need you on this day. We need you for this money. It doesn't matter if you say no. Okay, well you're just a number, and then we're gonna move on. And it's a message to fans that we really shouldn't invest in any of these fighters or the trajectory of their careers, because they're just numbers that are on a list, and they say, okay, if this guy's not available, let's move on and put some other guy in there.
We have reached a point now where we are about to have a card next month headlined by 2 interim title fights.
Yes.
2 interim title
That's right.
fights.
Interim
and
card.
no one bats an eye on it at this point, because these titles have been so
Yeah.
thoroughly devalued that it's almost a joke.
Except for Eddie Alvarez, man. If you haven't checked out the
Yeah,
interview, the interview I did with Eddie Alvarez yesterday at the One Championship Open workout, man,
So I haven't seen the interview yet, but I will be watching it soon, and I might even do a review for it, because I like doing this whole let's sit down and watch MMA media videos and talk about it. And it's good. It gets my creative juices flowing, and then I can talk about things and recall things and feel like I know what I'm talking about a certain subject that I really like, which happens to be MMA and UFC and shit like this. So I'm glad that this is all going so well. Hope you guys are enjoying. I'm actually going to go ahead and take we're about halfway through the video, so we're going to go ahead and take a break, make sure we don't lose anything, and we'll be right back with more. We are exactly 40 minutes and 16 seconds into the video. So we'll break and be right back after these short messages from our sponsor today.